There is no question whatsoever, this is the game of matchday madness. Napoli against Chelsea. It is all on the line for Napoli. Chelsea looking to consolidate a top 8 place. And of course, you can see it right here on Paramount Plus. This is how they stand. Napoli. This is their playoff scenarios. A win against Chelsea and better results of Olympiacos, PSV and Athletic Club. They're good. Draw, loss and clinch through tiebreakers, but they will be eliminated with a draw or a loss. Lose out, they are gone. They are hanging on by their fingernails. Chelsea, very straightforward. Win at Napoli and maintain goal difference over teams from 9 through to 13. Draw or a loss and clinch through tiebreakers is another route, or they fall into playoff with a draw or a loss and lose out on tiebreakers. So it looks fairly straightforward, guys, is it?
I don't think so. I think for Napoli, this is such a difficult test for them because they have so many injuries right now. Their squad is threadbare, and they actually are letting players go. Lorenzo Luca go to Nottingham Forest, that Noah Lang go to Galatasaray. I think we saw at the weekend against Juventus. This is a thin team that Antonio Conte works incredibly hard, and they are running out of energy, and there isn't really a cavalry coming for them.
Yeah, and you said before the break, they looked very tired on the weekend, and I don't know with all the injuries that, Jeff, that they can sort of sustain playing the way Conte wants to play, high tempo all the time. But you know, Antonio Conte's got something to prove because Europe hasn't been kind to Antonio Conte throughout his career.
What do you think the Chelsea perspective is? How do you think they will approach the game, knowing all of that about Napoli?
Well, I think that they're a team that don't necessarily need the relief of playing 2 fewer games. I think Liam Rosenior is on a winning run and wants to keep that going, but I don't think the knockout round is necessarily the worst thing for them. But I do think that you get through automatically to the round of 16. You get that bonus. This is a club that at some point we have to have expectations for them. I know they've made a managerial change. I know it's a young group, but they have expectations for themselves. They've shown that by sacking their coach. And so I do think we need to see in either the Premier League or in the Champions League a consistent level of performance and them achieving at a higher level, because I think so far, this Chelsea project under Todd Boehly has not really produced anywhere near enough in terms of results in the big competitions that they care about. They did well in the Club World Cup, but outside of that, they've been underwhelming in competitions like this. So theoretically, they should beat this Napoli team. They are better than them.
And I think Liam Rosenior, he's got, you know, it's his first Champions League match, right? So he's got some things sort of to work out in his head and how he manages, you know, do they want to finish in the top 8? Of course. But then you've got to manage players, right? You got to manage fitness. It's all these things that factor in that he's never had to do before, right? So he wants to build a little bit of trust as well. But I would think as deep as they are, any team that has the opportunity to miss out on 2 games, Jeff, is going to try and take that, and they have a chance.
Oh, 100%. I think the most interesting aspect of Chelsea is whether or not Cole Palmer plays, because he's been nursing this groin injury, and as you know, it's like hamstrings, tricky. Rush it, you're going to put yourself way back. But he's such an important player to them.
And that was the issue that Enzo Maresca had in managing Chelsea, was they had this sort of sporting department and the medical department that wanted to rest the players and wanted to make sure that everyone was back to full fitness. Obviously, Reece James is another one who has that recurring injury problem. And so now with Cole Palmer, they have to be very careful. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the bench for this one.
OK, well, for the very latest, let's go to our man on the spot. We call this section Guillem on the go. So
you had the chance to catch up with Antonio Conte ahead of this game. He seems like a figure that could be a little spiky right now. We know when things start to go against him, he starts questioning the club and the players and the transfers and all that. Where is his mindset going into this game?
You know, it's interesting when you hear the snippets that suggest that there is tension or that he's not happy. You see a grumpy man, and then you make a story out of it. But when you are close up with him, he's relaxed. He obviously knows that he's got a hard job to do. He has been talking, hasn't he, about doing a metaphor with the sea, that the waves have been very high since the beginning of the season for Napoli, that things are really, really difficult, that he's got a lot of injuries. Perhaps he didn't get the players he wanted. Perhaps, in fact, he had too many players, and that's why he's getting rid of some of them. But then, you know, when you start taking him a little bit away of the now, and then just look at the bigger picture, and you ask him, you know, is it a good thing to be a manager when things go wrong in Naples? Then he laughs and he realizes that he wants everything that Naples brings to him. The good, of course, they make you God if you win a title, as he did last season. And if things go bad, then it's a bit difficult. But he doesn't hide. In fact, he lives right in the city centre. He wants all that vibe, all that energy to come to him, because while he is a manager, that's all he does, 100%. Family don't see him. He doesn't talk to friends. The only thing he says is that if anybody asks for advice and he's telling him, should I be a manager? His answer is very rotund. He's like, no way, don't do it. It's not a good idea.
Guillem, has he ever offered his thoughts on why he is not as successful in Europe as he is in domestic football? It's a mystery. But there's lots of discussion. What does he say?
Well, it's got to do with the squad that he's got. Sometimes...
No, I mean, historically, Guillem, historically, as a manager.
I know. So... the way he plays football is a very demanding way. And I'm not saying that he prioritizes one thing but the other, but it's quite clear the case, and history show it with the clubs that he's been in, that he's not able to spread that energy or spread that quality throughout both competitions. He will look back at some of the games and say, I wasn't lucky here, I wasn't lucky there. But when you got so much data that shows that he hardly beats the quarterfinals of the European competitions, suggests that there is something about his methodology that doesn't work. That's something that at some point he's going to have to reflect. For instance, just to make a comparison, when Unai Emery realized that he couldn't beat some of the biggest teams, he was a PSG, was beaten by Barcelona, beaten by Real Madrid, at Arsenal, couldn't beat Chelsea in the Europa League final, etc. He changed his methodology, started looking back, seeing the trends in football, and realized that he needed to do things differently. And he's overcome that, doesn't he? With Aston Villa, certainly punching above the weight. It's something that Conte will have to do at some point. Look at why, really, not what he says to us, but what he thinks is actually stopping him succeeding in Europe.
So, Guillem, with having said that, has he given you the indication that how important this is, not only for Napoli, but for his career right now, to try and get at least into the knockout? Because we're talking about Serie A Scudetto winners potentially not making the top 24 in Europe.
Do you know that as journalists, we focus on the now, on the consequences, on the context, on what it means to his career? He is focusing on, what have I got? What can I do with what I've got? Can I give absolutely everything to it? And can I get everybody to do everything to it without the instructions that he's going to give? So I'm not sure he's looking beyond that. And he has admitted that perhaps they don't go through. Perhaps, against a Chelsea side that's youthful, that's energetic, that at the moment, 3 wins, 1 goal conceded, seems to be hitting a nice spot. If they cannot beat that, even though being at home, etc., he knows, number one, that the fans won't be happy. Number two, as long as they give in absolutely everything, in the circumstances that they're in, what else can you do? So that's basically his take. He's not looking beyond what that means to his career or anything else. But he knows, with a contract that runs in 2027, that things have to change, not only in the health department. I mean, there are players, he was saying, you can get them injured for a month or whatever, but we're talking about some operations. We're talking about months out. And how can you beat that? Well, if you can get, not replacements, is not expected now, but a squad that is as deep as he needs to, then he may just go for another challenge of the Scudetto next season. But it's also possible that, as he has happened very often in his career, in his second year, he goes like, you know what, that's it. And let's have a look. Manchester United may need a manager. So does Manchester City, Juventus perhaps, Real Madrid. He will have offers. He will have opportunities to do this thing that he does, which is to put everything into the first season, get success, and maybe 2 years later or a year later, just leave.
You missed out Tottenham.
They do need a coach with perhaps a winning history. Let's talk about, though, because you also had the chance to catch up with Scott McTominay on the eve of the game, and he had a brilliant first season. Obviously, he took Scotland to the World Cup. He scored huge goals for Napoli en route to winning the Scudetto. Right now, though, he's in this run where he's playing in a deeper position, and he has to play in every single game and go 90 minutes because that's what the team requires of him right now. Where is he right now in the current moment?
Obviously, I wanted to hear from him what it's like to be a champion with Napoli, and they won just recently the Super Cup, but of course they won the Scudetto, and we were looking for a word beyond crazy. We don't think that is one. It's just absolutely mental. He was talking about how the scooters follow him from when he comes out and in the training ground to his house, and not like Maradona's. In terms of numbers, not like Maradona, but you feel like God, certainly. But he also knows that the whole place can, maybe turn is not the word, but certainly the demands are very, very high in here. And right now, I think he thinks everybody understands that they're going through a difficult patch, that 1 win out of 6 obviously is not good enough, but that with the help of the Maradona, things could happen, magical things could happen tomorrow. But certainly the target, I feel, both from Conte and him, is to actually do better in the Scudetto and finish top 4. They are now 9 points away from the top, away from winning it, but certainly with possibilities of being top 4.
Guillem, when you spoke to Conte, did he reflect on facing Chelsea and his feelings towards Chelsea?
Yes, and it will be also interesting to hear what he says, not in front of camera or in the press conference, in which he was saying, Chelsea is a winning side and they have that winning mentality still, even though the ownership is different. But to hear what he thinks away from that, because obviously Chelsea is now a young side with different, perhaps, priorities of his time, and certainly with different, even though they may have the ambition, but the targets are different. I don't see them demanding Rosenior to actually win the Premier League at the moment or win the Champions League. But when he came to Chelsea, that was what was demanded. And he, of course, delivered with the FA Cup and a Premier League. So he is very, very respectful. Loves talking about Chelsea. Was probably the longest answer he gave in the press conference when he was asked about it. Because, of course, he reminded you of all the good stuff that he did at Chelsea before he left.
Great stuff, as always, Guillem. We'll leave you to go and get your lunch very quickly. What are you going to have? What are you choosing? What's on the menu?
It's a Maradona pizza. You've got to.
You've got to. Brilliant stuff, Guillem. Thanks very much indeed. Right, we've got plenty more for you on Morning Footy, and we'll also be asking our panel the tweet that Chelsea put out yesterday. How many players, can you name them, have played for Napoli and Chelsea? 10 in total. Can you name them? There's a clue for the first one.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.